Hi, students and families. This video is going to be all about our I can statements for March 26th through April 16th. These are the standards, the topics that we're going to be learning about put into kid-friendly language. All right, so the first thing that we're going to be learning about is our standard 1G1, which deals with shapes. And covering this standard, we will learn to identify shapes or objects as 2 or 3-dimensional and knowing the difference between those, and also sorting 2 and 3-dimensional shapes by their different attributes, by say size, shape, roundness, etc. And also we will be exploring how 2-dimensional shapes make the faces of 3-dimensional shapes. We will also be describing what makes a 2-dimensional shape and a 3-dimensional shape, and then also creating and drawing 2-dimensional shapes. And we will be using those 2-dimensional shapes to create new shapes. The best way I can describe that would be making a house and using a square as the house, triangle as the roof, maybe a rectangle as the door. That's the idea there, is using 2-dimensional shapes to make up new, and we call them composite shapes. Also doing the same thing with 3-dimensional shapes. For example, using a cone and a sphere to make an ice cream cone. And so that's what that standard covers, is making up shapes from other shapes, making new composite shapes. Then we'll also, our main focus will be shapes for this next 3 weeks, but we will also introduce the idea of fractions and breaking those shapes into equal pieces. Okay, so we'll be doing a little bit with that just so the kids can get an idea of what that means, the equal pieces, and using the fraction language like halves, fourths, quarters, wholes, equal parts, and we'll be introducing those concepts now and really be focusing on them next cycle, so after the 16th. And our last math standard deals with telling time, which we have already introduced previously. Earlier in the year, we talked about telling time to the hour. We introduced telling time to the half hour, but at this time we're going to really focus on telling time to the half hour. We're also going to not only talk about not only reading the time, but also writing the time, drawing the arms, writing them, and then also writing the time digitally. Then our language arts standard this week is using context clues, and using context clues to figure out unknown words, using context clues to figure out what's happening in the story, and then also using text features. Now, we've talked about text features in the past, but we haven't really focused too much on them. So we're going to review those and really dig into what that means and how to use them, using like text features such as the glossary, table of contents, the index, and captions with the pictures, illustrations, and headings, and using all of those text features to also help them understand what an unknown word is, or help understand the concepts in the nonfiction. So those are our I can statements for the 4A cycle. This again will run starting March 26th through April 16th.